Hey y'all, this is Marla K. Hope everybody is doing well. Got some stories that I want to share with you. They're all tied to the B system and the impending economic collapse. I can't tell you whether it's going to happen faster or slower than normal, or than I previously anticipated since Code 45 is in office. But let's get into it. All right, so the first story is from payments.com. It came out in November 2024, November 13th. It's a little late. It's on the list of stories that I was going to bring y'all, but I've been busy. All right, so Mastercard to shift to tokenization and biometric authentication by 2030. So it says Mastercard plans to phase out the need to enter card numbers, static passwords, and one-time codes when making online purchases by 2030. The company aims to make the change globally, replacing this process with the new one enabled by I don't even understand what they're saying. Replacing this process with a new one enabled by a combination of tokenization and biometric authentication that will make online checkout smoother and more secure. It said Wednesday, November 13th, in a press release emailed to payments. Just like the transition from signing and swiping to tapping cards, we're now moving from manual entry and passwords to seamless and secure payments in just a few clicks, Mastercard Chief Product Officer John Lambert said in a release. With this shift, we are protecting sensitive data throughout enhanced encryption and tokenization technologies. What they're actually doing is getting you comfortable with being in the B.E.A.S.T system, like they're telling you what's getting ready to happen. There's nothing safe or secure about anything digital. All these hacks, as long as it's digital, it's still going to be hacked. And not only that, whatever they're doing is not for us. As you can see, it's all for commerce, for consumption, so that you can buy. It doesn't have anything to do with us being safe. And at the end of this article, it basically confesses that. So it says, Mastercard's vision of commerce without the need for card numbers and passwords is already becoming a reality in major markets, according to the release. The company's tokenization technology has reduced cart abandonment, and that is the number one thing. They want to know if you're going to buy something. They got your face or your fingerprint and your identification and your digital wallet, your digital ID, all those things to determine what you were going to buy. And it's just basically another measure to track you so that you will be a debt slave. So it says today the Mastercard Digital Enablement Service tokenizes more than 30% of Mastercard transactions worldwide. The Mastercard Payment Passkey service continues to scale globally, and Click to Pay is expanding as more issuers, acquirers, payment service providers, and other channel partners enable the technology per the release. As payments continue to be embedded across a range of commerce experiences, we're leading the way to a global economy, one economy that empowers everyone. That's not going to empower nobody. Providing consumers with greater control. No, it's just the opposite. Convenience and peace of mind, You ain't gonna have no peace of mind in the B system, while unlocking new sales for merchants and lowering fraud for issuers. That's what it's all about. Don't have nothing to do with you and your safety. So, just wanted to bring that story to you. Now, notice this story is about Mastercard. The previous story. So this next story that I'm going to bring you is from Daily Hodl. It came out on November the 15th, and it was interesting to me because it is tied to the B system, the cards, or the fraud, and the fact that Mastercard is mentioned in this story as well. And so we have to be very careful with the replacing of the debit cards, because again, with every replacement, every renewal is getting us one step closer to the B system. So it says six U.S. banks issue urgent debit card alerts, forcing mandatory replacements for many after third-party security breach. So this is going to be the new scam. Like, everybody's going to need to be issued a card, and they're doing it in well, when I say they're doing it, they're doing the probing, or the test runs in different states and different areas and different markets, just to see how people are going to react. So this is something that we need to pay attention to. So it says 6 U.S. banks are reporting potential security breaches of debit cards, with several of the banks forcing affected customers to get replacements. Now, it says in the new filings with the Massachusetts state government, Main Street Bank, Savers Bank, the Village Bank, Watertown Savings Bank, Webster 5 Cent Savings Bank, and Eagle Bank say some debit cards may have been compromised following a security breach of a merchant's payment card platform. Notice this all took place in the state of Massachusetts. A copy of a notice sent to Eagle Bank customers was recently posted on the government site, stating an unnamed Mastercard merchant. Now, we just told you about how Mastercard said, oh, the product's going to be safer, yada, 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 yada. And now here you're encountering customers who had breaches, but they got to get new cards, and they're Mastercards. So, to me, that was a flag. It says an unnamed Mastercard merchant allowed unauthorized access to account information. A notice to customers at the Village Bank and a letter to customers at Savers Bank also pinpoint a merchant breach. So nobody ever says who the merchant is. We have been notified by Mastercard International of a suspected security breach of a merchant's network. Transactions that may have compromised some of Savers Bank's debit card numbers. Affected customers at Eagle Bank and Savers Bank will receive new cards automatically. And then Webster 5 Cent Bank offers fewer details on the source of the breach, but says it is also issuing mandatory new debit cards. Watertown Savings and Bank is asking customers to be vigilant, issuing new cards upon request. So just take note of the merchants who are putting our information at risk, so they say, and being hacked. And then these banks are having to issue us new cards. How convenient, right? Right. But anyway, these new cards, no matter what they say, with every renewal, they're going to ask you to do something different. They're still tracking us. So you go to the store, you swipe, they capture all your information. They know where you've been. It's just too much data right now that's being collected. And my suggestion would be withdraw cash and spend cash. Try to avoid leaving a digital footprint as much as possible. because the B system is watching everything that we do, every dollar that we spend, every place that we go, every text that we send, every email that we send, everything that we type. It's just getting all this information on us. Now, I don't know whether the system is going to be successful because, hey, the Most High has got to intervene. But we must be vigilant, and so that is why I brought these two stories to you. Now, the next story is about BRICS. So it's on Watcher Guru, came out December the 9th, 2024. India makes huge announcement on new currency. This is an important story because as the de-dollarization continues to happen, we are going to see a whole lot of price increases on things that we usually get for a little of nothing. And I just want to talk about it because we need to be expecting price increases as these other nations attempt to soften the blow of the global economic collapse that is going to ensnare everybody. So the BRICS bloc created a mock-up currency during the 16th summit in October in Russia's Kazan region. Russian President Vladimir Putin proudly displayed the mock-up bill to all the attendees, indicating that a new currency is in the works. The currency in question would challenge the US dollar's hegemony and dim its demand in the global supply mechanism, which in turn impacts us. So we're going to be the collateral damage. On the other hand, BRICS member India is slowly distancing itself from the de-dollarization agenda. The threat from BRICS was real, and the Joe Biden administration stood by doing nothing. However, things are changing after Trump reclaimed the White House, and the bloc is backtracking on the formation of a new currency. So I guess it appears that they were going to go along with it because Papa was all down for the New World Order. So now that Colt 45 is back in office, they're like, wait a minute, he crazy. He, tell him what he might do. So, we ain't scared of him. But we ain't finna do what we were gonna do when Papa was in office, because he didn't know what was going on. So it said the recent threat from Trump to impose a 100% tariff on goods has ruffled feathers among developing countries. India made an official announcement regarding the BRICS currency and the de-dollarization initiative. So India's foreign prime minister S. Jaishankar, I don't know if I said that right, confirmed that India is not interested in pursuing the de-dollarization agenda. He explained that India and the U.S. have friendly ties and Modi will maintain close relations with Trump. Jaishankar added that a BRICS currency is not in the works and India will not stop depending on the U.S. dollar. So it seems like folks are afraid of bullying, and they are going to do whatever they got to do to make sure they're not in the crosshairs of Code 45. For me, I don't trust any of this. We know how all these nations are. They will double cross each other in a heartbeat. So there is not anything to me that is comforting. As far as I'm concerned, it's still happening. The nuclear powers are talking, and we don't know who has control of what. Now, that story was talking about the tariffs, and I want to bring you a story about the tariffs because then I need to tell you about what's going on with China and how that is going to impact us. So all these financial things are going to impact us, some in the short term, some in the long term. So this says Trump, I'm sorry, let me share. This came from The Guardian. It came out on December the 1st, 2024. So it says Trump threat of 100% tariffs against BRICS nations raises trade war fears. So President-elect threatens retaliation if emerging economies create new currency to rival U.S. dollar. Well, the currency is already created. It's just not operational yet. And the other nations are already doing business amongst themselves in their own currencies, kind of undermining the US dollar. But we don't know, just, I guess, when all of this stuff is going to take place. We just have to be prepared, because one day you're going to go to sleep and everything is fine. The next day, the loaf of bread going to be $60. So just be ready. Okay, so fears of a global trade war have risen after Donald Trump threatened to impose 100% tariffs on countries in the BRICS group if they create a new currency to rival the US dollar. Well, that has already happened. Writing on his social media platform, Truth Social, on Saturday, Trump declared that he would also act if they supported another currency to replace the dollar. Quote, "We require a commitment from these countries." See how white supremacy do? "That they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling in the wonderful US economy," Trump said. End quote. Quote, "They can find another sucker. There is no chance that the BRICS will replace the US dollar in international trade, and any country that tries should wave goodbye to America," he added. So this where I'm just like, the theatrics of it all. They've already been planning this for a very long time. So, you can sit back and think that Coke 45 is going to be a savior for America, but we all know in order for this new world order to go live, it got to collapse the existing economy. So everybody should be preparing for the de-dollarization to continue, the bans to continue. I'm going to bring you another story about China after this story because they're connected. So it says the warning came less than a week after Trump declared he could or would impose tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China once he was inaugurated as president. This is important because a lot of the products that are made and sold in America come from Mexico and China in particular. So if they're going to increase or place tariffs on these products, avocados, fruit, appliances, minerals, just all kinds of things, then it's gonna be a problem. And not only that, but for the folks who like them bust down wigs, them bust down lace fronts, they come from China. That stuff is made in China and India. So it says the BRICS group was originally made up of Brazil, Russia, India, and China. For black folks, that's highly important because a lot of the stuff that we get, a lot of the shoes that we wear, a lot of the products that are made and placed in our communities, things that are sold in Walmart, just things that are sold in the hair stores that y'all use, they come from China. So we need to be paying attention because this is very, very important. It could actually impact us January 21st. So it's important for you to be thinking if you have extra money, if you get in anything extra, if you have money in your savings that you can go ahead and buy certain things, and those things are made in China or with products that are made in China and are imported into the US, I would be trying to do what I need to do and get those things, store those things before the price goes up. So the BRICS group was originally made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and has been joined by Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and Iran. A lot of these nations are nuclear powers. We need to pay attention. Some BRICS members have shown interest in de-dollarizing the world economy. In October, Putin called for an alternative international payment system. Now notice he's calling for an international payment system that could prevent the U.S. from using the dollar as a political weapon. Others, though, fear the consequences of severing relations with the U.S. and other Western countries by breaking away from the dollar, which underpins world finance. So other nations would like to, but they're afraid of the bully. That's basically what they're saying. So we need to really understand what's happening. So it says a 100% tariff at the U.S. border, if implemented, would drive up sharply the cost of goods from BRICS members, fueling U.S. inflation and destabilizing global trade flows. For Black people, it will be devastating because we're already poor. We don't work together. We don't have nothing. We don't have stores. We don't have supply chains. We don't produce nothing, like Dr. Claude Anderson said, but sweat. So, most people are not really paying attention to how this is going to impact us. And I want us to really be getting, just being about our business and prepping, because this is going to happen. Trump already put tariffs into place in 2016. I don't ever think those tariffs were rolled back. I don't think Papa did anything about them. And so they're going to institute more tariffs, which will increase the price of a lot of things. And we're getting ready to go into a wartime economy. In case y'all haven't been paying attention, everybody's getting ready for war. So there will be things that we won't be able to afford or will be extra expensive because of the tariffs and bans. Stephen Inez, a managing partner at SPI Asset Management, said Trump had laid down the gauntlet with a blistering proposal of a 100% tariff. Trump's recent electoral triumph was heavily fortified by his promise to impose harsh tariffs on foreign imports to the U.S., advocating for an aggressive 60% tariff on Chinese goods, he said. This hardline approach on trade reflects Trump's broader America First economic policy, which aims to recalibrate global trade dynamics and reinforce U.S. economic sovereignty. The problem with this is we don't make nothing. We don't produce anything. So for the Black people in the Black economy, we would be devastated. A lot of us are going to be out of work because if you work in production, a lot of the products that are produced in American production companies, manufacturing companies, come from overseas. A lot of companies where I live are, foreign national corporations. So either they're going to go out of business, they're going to reduce business. I just don't see how this is going to be good for us. Not just for America, but for us in particular. It's not going to be good. And again, if you are not using your money wisely, it's going to be devastating next year. A lot of people are not going to be prepared for what happens on January 21st. Things are just going to go up overnight, and a lot of things are going to happen. We're just not ready. And I can tell, I've been talking to people about this, and they just kind of look at me like, what, girl, what you talking about? It's Christmas time. Okay. All right. So as the world watches, the potential for a global trade upheaval looms, setting the stage for a contentious start to Trump's administration. So the story that goes along with this particular story is China bans export of critical minerals to U.S. as trade tensions escalate. This came out on Reuters on December 3rd, 2024. This story is important because it's tied into a lot of things that we are involved in. I got to make it bigger because I can't see. All right, so on December 3rd, China on Tuesday banned exports to the United States of the critical minerals gallium, germanium, and antimony that have widespread military applications, escalating trade tensions the day after Washington's latest crackdown on China's chip sector. The curbs strengthen enforcement of existing limits on critical mineral exports that Beijing began rolling out last year, but apply only to the U.S. market. In the latest escalation of trade tensions between the world's two largest economies ahead of President-elect Donald Trump taking office next month. So now we're getting ready to go into war, and yet our country relies on these precious metals that you can't get here. Go figure. So if you don't think you need to be crying out to the Most High, I don't know what to say about you. Okay, so it says a Chinese Commerce Ministry directive on dual-use items with both military and civilian applications cited national security concerns. The order, which takes immediate effect, also requires stricter review of end usage for graphite items shipped to the U.S. In principle, the export of gallium, germanium, antimony, and superhard materials to the United States shall not be permitted, the ministry said. So everybody is getting on this wartime footing, and it just kind of seems like Americans are not really paying attention. So it says gallium and germanium are used in semiconductors, while germanium is used in infrared technology, fiber optic cables, and solar cells. So all this, go out and buy solar batteries. You ain't going to be able to replace that stuff. And if you do, it's going to be very expensive. The fiber optic cables, they're laying down broadband every place. And a lot of these wires are, cables are shipped overseas for stuff that they do underground. So it's a huge deal. Antimony, which raised my eyebrow, is used in bullets and other weaponry, while graphite is the largest component by volume of electric vehicle batteries. Graphite, graphene, all that graph stuff. It's a huge deal. A lot of manufacturing companies are using that stuff now, and so if they can't access it, everything that entails those components will be more expensive. So it says the move has sparked fresh concern that Beijing could next target other critical minerals, including those with even broader usage, such as nickel or cobalt. China has been signaling for some time that it's willing to take these steps, so when is the U.S. going to learn its lesson, said Todd Mallon of Talon Metals, which is trying to develop a nickel mine in Minnesota and is exploring for the metal in Michigan. Now, I'm talking about these places. I want y'all to pay attention to these states where these storms are happening, where the weather is bad. A lot of stuff is happening that's crazy in certain areas that have lots of natural resources that have never been mined before. And we cannot underestimate that the bans are going to have a negative impact on us preparing for war. Whether it's intentional or not, I don't know, but it's just something that we need to pay attention to. The only U.S. nickel mine will be depleted by 2028, right before 2030. Go figure. The United States was assessing the new restrictions, but will take necessary steps in response, a White House spokesperson said, without giving details. These new controls only underscore the importance of strengthening our efforts with other countries to de-risk and diversify critical supply chains away from China, the spokesperson said. Oh my gosh, look at this big old, boy, I tell you, you can't even get through an article without pop-ups. Representatives from Trump did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Chinese customs data show there have been no shipments of wrought and unwrought germanium or gallium to the U.S. this year through October, although it was the fourth or fifth largest market for minerals, respectively, a year earlier. Similarly, China's overall October shipments of antimony products plunged by 97% from September after Beijing's move to limit its exports took effect. China accounted last year for 48% of globally mined antimony, which is used in ammunition. So I'm saying that to tell y'all, if you need stuff for your pim-pims, you better go and get it, because there's going to be a shortage, and if it's not a shortage, it's going to be so expensive you may not be able to afford it. So it says infrared missiles, nuclear weapons, night vision goggles, as well as in batteries and photovoltaic equipment. This year, China has accounted for 59.2% of refined germanium output and 98% of refined gallium production, according to consultancy Project Blue. The move is a considerate escalation of tensions in supply chains where access to raw material unit is already tight in the West, said Project Blue co-founder Jack Better. This is important because, again, it is showing how folks are preparing for war. And with this globalization, I think the West underestimated, the other nations, the global South. And everybody is working together to undermine America and Europe. So, again, we are going to be collateral damage, and we need to be prepared. I can't stress it enough. Cannot stress it enough. We need to be prepared. So I'm going to end this video because it is long enough. I have a couple of other stories I'm going to do that are tied to the B.E.A.S.T system, tied to biblical prophecy, tied to the collapse of Babylon. And again, we need to be preparing because we are going to be the collateral damage. No matter what they do, they don't care about us. You got to care about yourself. You have to care about the people in your household. And even if you are the only one preparing, you got to prepare like your life is dependent on it, because it is. Ain't going to be no rapture. Ain't no government come to save you. Just look at what happened in North Carolina. People still out here struggling, sleeping in tents. It's cold. It's raining. People don't have any place to stay. There are no resources. They gave away all the money. People aren't working. There's no way we're going to ever be able to repay all that has been, used up and given away to other nations, other groups. Black people in particular are going to be really in a bad way because we don't have any supply chains. We don't have any friends. We don't have anything. So the Negro is going to be hurt real bad. Unfortunately, by the time we figure it out, it will be too late. So, with that said, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. If you'd like to support the channel financially, links are in the description for my Venmo and my coffee. Just continue to prep, y'all. That's all you can do. That is all we can do. So with that said, keep prepping, keep praying, keep seeking the Most High, and spend your money wisely. It's still worth something. All right, this is Marley K.